Welcome to the Magnolia Shine podcast. Rion Young, Blake Levine. We had some technical difficulties getting this one together, didn't we, Rion?
Oh man, yeah.
But you know what? On a beautiful Sunday morning when we're recording this for you guys at 6 p.m. on Sunday, it's just important that we finally got it going.
Yeah, that's the only thing that matters.
Well, we got a fun show. We're talking 1A football. It's the last classification we haven't talked about just yet. We're going to talk about who we think will win Mr. Football. Not who should, because we don't know, what anyone's done yet, but who do we think's going to win Mr. Football in these classifications? And then we're going to wrap up with kind of a fun little topic, which is the best football players in Mississippi high school football history. I put out a top 10 list. Of course, nobody's ever going to be happy with any list that happens, but it's kind of fun to do. All right, and we have our two sponsors, Harrison Brewer of Alpha Insurance and Parish Tractors. We'll talk about them as well because they are special to the show, and we love them and that they are a power of our show. Rion, first off, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing this morning?
Man, I'm doing good. You ready to talk some 1A ball?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Now, I always say this. In 1A, there's usually about 3 to 4 teams that can win it preseason. There's a lot of haves and haves-nots. As in, some of the teams in the lower half of 1A, they're going to lose a lot of ball games this year, and they're going to get crushed. And then there's going to be some teams in the top 5, top 6 that I think are actually pretty good football teams. They just lack numbers, but with what they do have, it's usually pretty special. The list will be up, and I have Simmons actually preseason number 1. Now, they lost in the state championship last year to Calhoun City. I think Calhoun City is my number 2 team. The only reason I think it's different is because Simmons was really young last year, and Calhoun City had some ballers that now have graduated and moved on to the next level.
Right, that's true. That's true. And I'm liking Simmons a lot. You know what I'm saying? I can't deny the fact that that's a program that's gonna have players in there year in and year out. They have very dedicated coaches. The community is into it. They back Simmons, you know what I'm saying? So when you got all of that type of confidence as a player, you know one thing, they're gonna hit the field and be ready to play every time. But you can't knock Calhoun City either. You got to realize that they are a team that's going to always reload. They're going to keep things coming. They're going to keep it pumping as well.
Yeah, remember what was it? Simmons won 3 in a row, like in the mid 2010s.
Yeah, I can't think of how many it was.
But they won like 54 straight games at one point. You know how hard that is in the 1A level where, sometimes you can just have a senior class that's special, you win the title, but, it just doesn't always work. It seems to me, I know this sounds funny because we talked about 7A, but it feels easier to win year in and year out in some of the middle level classes, but the high and the low class, those because things just change so much. You talk about your schools, the Lewisvilles, the West Point. Yeah, you're going to graduate some good players this year, but you're always going to have a good, big enough selection to find your next, superstars. 1A for teams like Simmons to make the state championship and to maybe get back there again. That's just impressive stuff when you talk about program.
Yeah. Then you know what I'm saying, you can't forget about programs like Biggersville as well. You know what I'm saying? One thing about Biggersville, they're gonna compete every year. You know what I mean? They might not make it to the state championship every year, clearly, but they're gonna compete every year, and they're a program that you got to keep your eyes on all every year.
Right. I think we both agree who the top 2 teams are. So let's start talking about some of those other teams. I think Taylorsville, always very good. We talk about a team that will lose a lot of non-conference games because they go and they play these better schools because they're not scared to go play anybody. And then they go into their conference and they start playing schools at the same school size as them. And you're like, oh, okay, here they come. That record before did not really tell. I think Nanawaya has some dudes on the outside. I think they could be really scary this year.
Yeah.
I think those are my top 5. And then I think in Okolona.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's that. Okay. Okay. Didn't expect that.
Well, I believe didn't they I think they won 2 playoff games last year.
Yeah, they did. They did. I think I'm not sure. But didn't we say the other day that that LaFleur is still in it, right? Greenwood has consolidated, right?
No, LaFleur's still absolutely in it.
So do you think LaFleur, and they're 1A, right?
Yep.
What are you thinking about them?
No, absolutely. Look, they were in the state championship game not that long ago. So the idea that they can't make a state championship game now, Sadly, they ran into Scott Central that year, and that was the year they scored 70 points in the state championship. Do you remember that game, Rion, when Scott Central scored whatever 70 points
Yeah,
against LaFleur?
yeah.
That was one of the first times you ever, I think, covered a state championship.
That was the first time I ever
That was
covered the
the
state
first.
championship.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
couldn't remember if that was the first or not, or if that was the second year. But yeah, no, absolutely. Coach House, good coach. It will be interesting when they consolidate how they're going to do, who's coaching who, who's going to be coaching the team. West Tallahatchie last year, I think a lot of people think that they were pretty solid. So there are some teams in the Delta. It seems like the Delta just has a lot of really good
Yeah,
1A
yeah,
schools.
It's a lot of them over there. It's a lot of them over there. Coffeyville had even got to the point where they would act like they wanted to compete every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, I know people in McAdams think that they're gonna be better, which they were a little bit better last year. So there's just a lot of 1A teams that are interesting. I'm trying to think about any in the south star part of the state because I
What
find it
about
always
Bilma Jackson?
fascinating. I find it fascinating, Rion. Simmons is like in the south. It's like it doesn't. But I get it because there's not enough 1A schools. The more south you go in Mississippi, the less 1A size schools there are.
I guess, man, but to have Simmons in the South is crazy. But I
But
mean, I
was it?
get, I get it.
But even what was it 2 years ago? Noxubee was in the South. Remember they were playing
I mean,
Gibson County.
but see, the thing is, that's that's going to be the central part of the state.
I guess. But Simmons just being in the South just seems crazy to me.
Yeah,
That
man, that's way north. That's way north. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
I think Taylorsville had to drive like almost 4 hours to go play them for a South State
You see what I'm
championship.
saying, man? That's a very big inconvenience.
It is, but that's why you maybe want to be the home team for that game.
True. True.
So look, 1A will be interesting. I think ultimately we may see a rematch. That can I go off topic for a second?
Go ahead.
Every single year, people think it's going to be a rematch of the state championship in like every single level. And every year it's never that. It's like there's always going to be like a team or two in every single district or level that we go, "Oh man, how did we, whatever." And it's kind of funny to see how people just they guess chalk, and I pick Winona to win 3A and people are like, "How could you? But this team, but this team." It's like, "Yeah, but it doesn't happen every single year. You don't win every year. Unless you're West Point, you make it 10 years in a row, but that's one of one."
Yeah, you can't predict the rematch every year. You know what I'm saying? Not me anyway. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do it. You know, if you're talking those West points, okay, I get it, I understand, but and then if you're talking like Brookhaven, you know what I'm saying? Okay, I get a Brookhaven and West Point rematch, but you know what I'm saying? For the most part, nah, you just can't.
No, you can't. And
You
look,
can't
even
predict it
West,
every year.
yeah, but even West Point and Brookhaven, something could happen to one of them. I can't tell you what it's going to be, and I'm
That's
not
true.
predicting it. I'm just saying like something could happen.
That's true.
And somebody's hurt, somebody's girlfriend broke up with them that week and they're just not ready to play and they fumble. Whatever. You just never know with high school football. And it's kind of one of the most fascinating things.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, girlfriend breakups are a big thing in high school, and it could be the difference in your team winning and your quarterback playing well.
yeah, yeah.
All right, Rion. So let's talk about our sponsors. Let's talk about a special thanks to our sponsor, Alpha Insurance, the Brewer Agency. They'll shop the market for you so you can spend less time worrying about insurance and more time watching the game. Call Alpha Agent Harrison Brewer at 601-228-1668 for a free quote. Please give Harrison a call. I'm telling you guys, if you guys need anything insurance-wise, he's the guy to do it. He's been so great with this show behind the scenes. And, that really means a lot to me and people that want to invest in Rion and I on the Magnolia Shine podcast. And Paris Tractors, they're more than a tractor store. Where they're your equipment partner, founded in 2012 with one location in Poplarville, Mississippi. They now serve Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, all staying true to their character, commitment, community, and change. Whether you're looking for tractors, zero-turn mowers, whatever you need, whether it's a weekend job, they're even offering rentals for those construction jobs. Visit your nearest Paris Tractor location today. They're more than a tractor store. All right, Rion. This is one of my favorite topics. I know everyone likes to guess the Dandy Dozen. I like to guess the Mr. Football because Mr. Football has nothing to do with how good you're going to be in college football. It's really about what you end up doing that season for high school football. To me, I would rather be Mr. Football than a Dandy Dozen, although I think most kids would rather be a Dandy Dozen than Mr. Football. But, that's actually a fun debate in itself. Well, actually, what would you rather be?
Uh, I I think I'd rather be both. You know what I'm
Rather be
saying?
both. That's not an answer.
No, I'm just being serious. I think I want to be the guy that's gonna be both. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? I
oh
want to be the
man.
guy that get Danny Dozen at the beginning of the season, and then all season I go stupid hard and become Mr. Football. Probably what Ty Keys is going to do.
Well, here's the thing. If you're what's cool about the being a Dandy Dozen and Mr. Football, it means there was preseason hype around you, and then you also delivered.
That's what I'm trying to say. You
Yeah, right. There's a
know what
combo.
I'm trying to say? That's who I
All
want
right.
to be. That's
I
who I am.
I am going to release my Mr. Football list here coming soon, but I guess you get the sneak preview right now. 7A, who do you think is going to be Mr. 7A?
Kylan Bobo.
Okay, me too. That's my pick. I think Kylan Bobo is going to do it. I think he's going to put up close to 2,000 yards rushing. The only reason I think he may not go over 2,000 yards rushing is because they might be up at halftime a lot to the point where the backups are going to get their carries. Just like last year where, Kylan had to, split some carries with J.J. Hill. And I just think ultimately he's going to end up not playing some second halves. But he's going to play 15 games, so he'll probably get close to 2,000 yards.
Right.
Okay, 6A, I have Nash Morgan.
Yeah, I got the same thing. I think if he can have a full season of what he did in the state championship game, making plays like that in that game, if he can make an impact like that in majority of his games this season, I'm thinking Nash Morgan as well.
I think the running back from Picayune, I mean, if he gets close to 3,000 yards rushing again, I mean, that's
Then
ridiculous. I mean,
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah. Now,
ridiculous.
now, if he do that, you got to give Mr. 6A to Zay
If
Dennis.
you
If he do that,
if you go for 3,000 yards rushing,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
but then again, Nash had almost 1,500 yards passing and 1,500 yards rushing last year. I mean, you don't see that very often.
No,
But again, yeah.
no, you don't. You don't. That's true too.
Okay, 5A.
5A. Ooh, 5A, I think is going to be Jordan Keys. I think he's going to, yeah, I think he's gonna lock that up.
Okay, that's so funny. Are we going to disagree at all?
I don't think so, man, because I mean, we do our homework.
I think it's going to be Jordan Keys. However, part of me thinks that team could be so even. I think Jaden Allen could end up winning it too. I mean, I think that there's a world where that team is so good as a team that there's so many options, so many weapons that they
Yeah,
almost cancel themselves out. Like it
yeah,
sucks. It's kind of like if you have two MVP guys, they may take votes from each other. Jaden Allen might take votes from Jordan Keys, and Jordan Keys might take votes from Jaden Allen, and that may hurt him. Although I think I'm taking Jordan Keys. Don't get me wrong, I'm taking him. But look, in 5A, I don't know if anyone, because there was a kid from West Point that won it last year. I don't know if they have a defender that may end up putting some big numbers. I think
that's
yeah,
that's what I was just gonna say too. You know what I'm saying? Brookhaven actually got three guys when you look at Durham Fields.
Derwin Fields, right?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
just
that's
mess
such a
around and have
that's
a super big season.
yeah. I hope they don't cancel each other out and somebody's able to break away and be like, yeah, no, it's this. I'm trying to think if there, the kid at Lanier, the defensive tackle,
Yeah,
Carson, but they have a running back. Was it Nolan Bailey?
I'm not familiar with his name.
Yeah, I think I didn't think he graduated. I mean, sometimes I remember we're covering about 10,000
Yeah,
kids here. It's like I don't know,
exactly.
but Lanier has a running back that's supposedly really really good. I'm trying to think if there's any other teams in the South. Yeah, I think we're talking about 2, 3 different schools. All right, 4A, we're going to agree again. We both think it's Ty Keys.
Yeah,
Now, side note, before we do 3, 2, and 1A, people do realize that Ty Keys and Jordan Keys both have a chance to break the all-time rushing record this year.
yeah. That is going to be big. That's going to be
Now,
big. It's going to be a fun season.
so there's two parts to this. I think Ty Keys needs something close to what he did last season. He's going to need to go over 3,000 yards, which, by the way, very possible. I
Yeah,
don't know the exact math, but very possible he did it last year. Why can't he do it this year?
exactly.
The thing about Jordan is he's about 2,100 yards away, and he's gone over 2,000 each season. But
That's
now, is
not
he
gonna
going
be.
to have to sit out some second halves? Is he not going to have to touch the ball 40 times a game when he was at Lloyd Star and felt like, okay, we got to give this guy the ball over and over and over again because they have so many more weapons? It'll be interesting to see how his yards kind of change just depending on the team.
He'll get his yards, and he'll get the rest of his yards in the playoffs.
You know what? If they play 15 games and they go to the state championship, that would, I mean,
Yeah.
what's Brooks, do some math for me. Usually I'm pretty good at this. What's 2,100 divided by 15? He'll put it up on the screen. All right, but 4A, we're both going with Ty Keys. 3A, could we have a little bit of a difference?
Uh, Let me see. 3A, I'm thinking possibly. In 3A, I'm thinking possibly Young Sean Hudson.
Man, we're not gonna disagree. All right, 140 yards a game for Jordan Keys. He would need 140 yards a game on the ground to get to 2,100 if
That's
they
not
played
hard.
all 50.
That's not
You
hard.
think not hard? All right, Yoshawn Hudson. I agree. Part of me thought, man, that guy put up some silly numbers last year.
Mm.
I mean, he had to get 20 touchdowns last year, about right. I mean, it was something like that. I mean,
Yeah,
almost. I mean, he'll probably rush for over 2,000 yards. I mean, he's a freak athlete.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
And he's one of those guys you can get a ball to, and he gonna do. I'm talking about make some plays.
All right, 2A, we're probably gonna, man, okay, we're about to be 6 for 6.
Yeah, Chase
Chase
Craft.
Craft.
Yeah,
Okay. Nothing to even discuss there, right?
yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe there's somebody that's going to come out of nowhere that we just are not familiar with. But
That
as of
could,
right now, he's the leader.
yeah, that could easily happen. That could easily happen. You know what I'm saying? In 2A. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they also have a couple defensive linemen that are pretty good themselves. All right, 1A. I have DJ Gatson at Simmons.
Okay, okay. I like that. I was gonna say the kid from Nana Warrior.
Okay, there we go. We
Yeah,
finally disagree. Is that what was his name? Hickman?
yeah.
So you think they're going to be able to throw the ball enough, or you think they're going to give him the
Oh, he
ball in
do
some other?
everything. He do everything. He don't just play wide receiver. Yeah, he do it all.
So you
You
think
best
he can
believe,
play? He can play a little quarterback. He can play a little defense.
man. You best believe he finna be touching the ball almost. You know what I'm saying? Because they lost one of the other guys named Corbin Sanders. He's coming. He's coming back to Louisville. So yeah, yeah. Hickman gonna be a very big part of that offense this year.
Listener question from Brooks, because he's one of the few he's listening to this live. Is there any QB that could win 7A, or will it be a skill player? Could you think it could be Hall from Oak Grove? Could he win it?
Yeah. Hall, Kingston Johnson. That
Kingston
start.
Johnson, Kingston Johnson from Starkville. He could, yeah, especially because Starkville was 6-5 last year. I mean, I know a lot of people thought they were really explosive, and they were, but they did not have a good season last year. 6-5 is not good enough for Starkville High School. If they win 10 games, I mean, Kingston could definitely be on that. But I think the problem is I think a guy like Tyson Robinson. I mean, I think most of the 7A, it feels like it's going to be a running back or a skill player.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm thinking down on Gulfport has a new QB. Thinking about Ocean Springs, Pearl, Shaq at Brandon. I mean, maybe he has a rebound year.
Yeah, he gonna need a big rebound here.
Trip
Yeah,
Smith, I don't know if it's there yet. Yeah, I think we're thinking about I think Hall and Johnson, Hall at Oak Grove and
if
Johnson
you
at
talk
Starkville,
about yeah.
that would be the two guys in 7A that I think could be a quarterback that could win it.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the interesting things is we talked about each level. We didn't pick a defender. Well, I guess you said Derwin Fields could have a possibility, but we
Yeah,
didn't pick a full-time defender anywhere on that list. And usually there is sometimes a one-time defender somewhere on that list.
yeah.
I just don't know where it's going to come from this year. But in high school football, people don't track their defensive stats as well as they track their offensive stats. So I feel like sometimes when they're looking and they're like, oh, this guy's there's more offensive stats to look at.
Yeah, the offensive guys gonna always get the shine. The defensive guys are the ones really in the trenches getting it in, and sometimes they forget about defense. They don't really care about defense. People don't really keep their eyes on defenses until the until the playoffs.
All right, I got a good story for you before we do our last topic. Will Eccles was up for 4A Player of the Year, and obviously Will, his stats did not always back up how great he really was because he played offensive line, right, and then he also played defensive line, and
Right.
he now it's not that he didn't have stats, it's just people were thinking elsewhere in 4A. One of the coaches, I won't name his name, one of the coaches was pounding on the table saying, if we don't make Will Eccles Mr. 4A, this is not a correct list.
Yeah. I
Pretty much
mean,
saying like you have to see him with your eyes. You can't just look at the stat book and go, well, no, this guy. It's like, no, if unless you see Will, you won't understand.
they played Will out of position too at Houston. At Houston, he should have been their nose guard on defense.
Oh, he
There's
would
no,
have. I mean, he would
there's
have
no
moved.
way.
Yeah,
There's no way I'm gonna put him on one end of the ball and allow Louisville to run away from him all night, and get him tired.
yeah. I mean, he could blow up any center in high school he wanted to. He'd throw him to the sideline and eat him for later.
Why not have that right there in the middle, in the center, in the point of attack? Why not have that right there? That
And
causes so many problems.
it also cuts about 2 to 3 feet of running each play.
You feel what I'm saying?
and that starts to add up. All right, Rion, final topic. Greatest high school football players of all time. We're not going to get through everybody. We're not even going to get through half of the everybody's. We are just going to start naming them. Obviously, the big topic is always Marcus Dupree, Cam Akers. I think a lot of people think those are the two best. I'd go with Cam Akers only because he threw the ball for 3,000 yards, then ran for 2,000 yards and did it in the highest classification. He was also one of a 5-star, and I know Marcus when he was going, I don't know if they had stars back then, but he would have been a 5-star. It would, it just would have translated a little bit differently. All right, Rion, who's your greatest high school football player of all time? And then, let's start going down this list.
Well, when I was coming through, saying you had Tig Barksdale from
Never lost. LeVar Ball never lost.
yeah, man, it's hard to knock Tig. Tig started 4 years at the highest level at one of the most well-known programs outside of the state of Mississippi, South Panola. He started 4 years there on both sides of the ball, running back and linebacker, two of the most aggressive positions on in the game. You can't knock Teague Barksdale. You can't knock what he did. Um, I think that clearly people remember him for making great plays. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think you put all those type of guys in that same sentence, and then you go down to your players like Chris Jones. You know what I'm saying, from Houston. Nah, he didn't get a lot of shine, as far as on paper. But I mean, when you sit back and think about what Chris Jones was doing in high school, he had a real big career in high school. Jeffrey Simmons, and I'm just talking about guys that I seen, that I played with.
Yeah.
I mean, not played with, but that I seen. Derek Pegues from South Panola. He's when we were coming up, he was considered one of the best to ever do it. You know what I'm saying? Antonio Connor from South Panola. And man, me and South Panola fans, we have a good banner with each other. But man, when it comes down to some of the best players that ever come to the state, you can't knock them. You can't say that, they didn't have them. You know what I'm saying? AJ Brown is one of the best that I've ever seen, you know what I'm saying, in high school. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, go ahead with your list.
So we had some older people. Obviously, I didn't see these people, but Bobby Hall said the hardest player he had to defend against was Brian Darden from Warren Central. He said that was the hardest matchup. When they went and played Brian, they were like, oh boy, this is going to be a problem. Everyone wants to talk about Cam Akers, but there's another Clinton running back that people have great memories of, and that's Dante Walker. You have a Jarius Norwood from Brandon, who a lot
Yeah,
of people tell me that's one of the fastest players they ever
yeah.
saw. So one of my good friends, Jarrell Poe,
Mm,
was a
mm,
good one. Sticking around that area, Benito Jones. So
mm.
we could have a really fun one. Um, Who am I? Oh man, I'm blanking on it. Who was the guy at Pedal? Javion Patterson.
Yeah,
I mean, there's some really. I mean, we could sit here. Who was the guy running back at Starkville? That back in
David Fair.
the yes.
Yeah, David
A lot
Fair.
of people. A lot of people
So,
say, "Man, you had to see him."
so you know what I'm saying? You got if we gonna go back that far, then you got to talk about your Thunder and Lightning at West Point.
Okay.
Yeah, one of them actually played at Ole Miss. I did a post about them recently, but I forgot the name. I know one of them last name was Sykes, but they was called Thunder and Lightning. You know what I'm saying? It was another real good running back from the South back then. You know what I'm saying? Because back then it was a lot of good running backs coming through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people probably remember the Sangster brothers from Louisville, Lawrence Sangster in '91, and
What
then
about what about Jason Campbell, one of the few 5-star
you know what I'm
quarterbacks
saying?
from our state?
Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
And
Ty
and
Key.
and many people don't know
I
this.
mean, was that his name? The quarterback from Taylorsville? Did he have his name was Ty Keys too, right?
No, it was Jason Campbell. Yo, yeah, Tykees, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can't sit here and say he wasn't one of the best to ever do it. You know
Hey,
what I'm saying?
Miles Brennan,
Yeah, yeah, so
Dylan Favre.
yeah,
Okay. Wow. Oh man, I'm just blanking on it now. Who was I? Oh man, I had somebody. Oh, we're forgetting arguably one of the best two-way players of all time. Florida State, the big time schools wanted Steve McNair as a safety or a corner.
yeah,
And
yeah.
he said, "No, I'm a quarterback," and went all Court State. Steve McNair at one point, it's broken now. At one point, had the record for most interceptions for a career in
Mm-hmm.
high school football in Mississippi. And we think of him as a quarterback, but yet there he was as a defender, being all world and being recruited by all the top teams in the country. They should have
Right.
had him at quarterback. That's what Florida State really should have recruited him as, but they didn't.
Exactly. And
Try to
they probably would have had some better results.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some other ones down the list because we're forgetting people. I mean, I know there's probably like an all-time great that we're just sitting here going, man, Boobie Dixon.
Yeah,
Maybe not greatest high school, but man, he was a beast. He was a
yeah.
beast. I mean, there's an all-time state running back. Rion, this is good. I'm having fun. Maybe Brooks can throw in a few. Oh, there we go. Jimmy Johns from Brookhaven. There you go. That's one. Bobby Hall said that was also one of the great quarterbacks that he ever had to defend, and he ended up going to Alabama. Yep, absolutely. And great name. I love the sandwich place. I know that they have no connection, but I just had to make the joke there. I'm sure he's heard that a few times in his life, Jimmy Johns, and went, wait, do you own the sandwich place? Well, Rion, it was a good morning, and everyone just comment, your greatest high school football players of all time. We want to read those lists. But
Yeah.
Rion, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, then, brother. Good to see you
Yep.
again.
Paris Tractor, Harrison Brewer, Alpha Insurance, and we will see you guys on Wednesday.